Let's jump over to the New York Giants, who decided that they are going to retain Dave Gettleman. This has been something that's been oft talked about, including here on the podcast. I'm guessing that you weren't surprised by this, Tony, but what was your reaction?
Well, we said a couple of weeks ago that I had heard that there were people who were close to the Giants felt the needle was moving towards Gettleman being released. Obviously, that didn't happen. This was a John Mara decision. The owner, I'm told, basically Mara's a loyalist. He wanted to give Gettleman, one more chance, or I should say another chance. There were some people who I spoke to who were close to the organization were not too fond of the decision, but that's the way the Giants operate. I knew there wasn't going to be any rash decisions. Some of the picks he's made have worked out well. Saquon Barkley was a terrific pick before the injury. Daniel Jones, I know a lot of Giant fans really dislike him. I think it's a situation where, when he's at the top of his game, he's terrific. You got to protect him. Andrew Thomas has been up and down, but there have been some other good players. I mean, he's really, Gettleman, to his credit, has developed a terrific defensive line. We'll see what happens with Leonard Williams, who's was franchised last year moving forward, but he's had a monster year, and he's put some other pieces in place. I think what will happen is Gettleman's future next year will sink or swim as to how Daniel Jones develops or doesn't develop.
Yeah, and that makes a ton of sense. Obviously, we learn every year that some of these quarterbacks just need a little bit more time to develop. I don't know that it's an apples to apples comparison with Josh Allen, but we've certainly seen the leap that Josh Allen took this year. I'm not saying that that's going to happen with Daniel Jones, but I'm also not saying that it's not going to happen. They've really built that defense up. The Leonard Williams trade was interesting at the time. As you mentioned, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with him in this offseason. I think Jabril Peppers was a underrated acquisition. I also think Bradbury at corner has played really, really well for them. So to your point, it's certainly not been all bad. And I think you and I are both on the same page here. I still have a lot of faith in Andrew Thomas. I think that he's going to develop into a really strong left tackle. Sometimes, again, rookie year, no rookie mini camps, no OTAs. I know players like Tristan Wirfs, albeit on the other side of the line, and Jedrick Wills maybe set the bar pretty high this season, but I still think Andrew Thomas is a hell of a prospect moving forward.
Also Logan Ryan, who they signed, and it's worked out for him. Josh Allen, is there any coincidence that his career really took off when they brought Stephon Diggs in?
Yeah.
And the Giants don't have that type of receiver. I think the one thing that, I question is this love for Evan Engram, because as we talked about during the trade deadline, they look at Evan Engram as a premier player. I know he made the Pro Bowl this year, but as Giant fans will tell you, he drops a lot of passes in games, critical moments. Dropped a couple of passes against the Cowboys on Sunday. Had that horrible drop on the Thursday night game against the Eagles, which cost the Giants the game. Great athlete who, I don't know how he made the Pro Bowl. Needs a lot of work. He's got great upside, but boy, he's a heartbreaker at time for the Giants.
Yeah, the analytics are really rough on Evan Engram. I know Packer fans are very upset that Evan Engram made the Pro Bowl instead of Robert Tonyan with his 11 touchdowns this year and 0 drops in comparison to Evan Ingram's quite a few. I don't know the exact number, but I know that's definitely been a point of contention. But, there's certain players, Tony, that I think get a little bit of a benefit of obviously their draft grade or, their draft round as well as their Madden rating. And I think Evan Engram is one of those players that sometimes in the eyes of fans and players, when that Pro Bowl voting comes up, they see him with a high rating on Madden, was a first-round draft pick. They see the speed and they'll see some highlights on SportsCenter every now and again. But when you put the overall picture together for Evan Engram, he still has a ways to go to grow as a player and become the player that they really need him to be.
And if memory serves me, Engram was not selected by Gettleman. I think Gettleman's first pick was Saquon Barkley. I think it was Jerry Reese.
You might be right there.
Who was an Evan Engram player, yet Gettleman seems loyal to him.